Yep. Donna Susek, you said was going to be late, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Walter Cusell,
Here.
Gina Sakala,
Here.
Cindy Mangini, Marie Peisner. I think she told me she was going to be late also.
Yep.
Scott Ryder. I don't see him on yet. Tim Neville,
Here.
Doug McSellen. No Doug yet. Tina LeBlanc,
Here.
Wendy Costa.
She's here. She's
I
waving.
see you waving. Charlotte Riley,
Here.
Bethany Olette,
Here.
Melissa Everett,
Here.
Jeff Leonowitz.
He's there.
Yeah, he's just muted. Chris Cycli and Jaime Cisneros.
I'm here.
Do we have any other guests on at the moment? Doesn't look like it.
Tom Hubbard is with us.
Oh, yep. Okay, I see you, Tom. Okay.
All right, thank you. Number 3, approval of minutes for June 25th to 2020. Is that 25th or 26th?
25th.
2020. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Tim.
Motion by Mr. Neville,
Second.
second by who said that?
Charlotte?
Charlotte. Okay, sorry. All in favor, raise your hands. I'm assuming you all raising your hands. Okay. Special guests, we have none, unless Tom wants something to say something, but I don't think he does.
I'm good.
Okay.
Hey,
So,
Walt,
old business.
Doug,
Yes.
Doug came in.
Oh, was that you, Doug, on the phone? The phone?
Yeah, I just came in on the phone.
Okay.
Gotcha. Sorry, Doug. Thank you. All right, old business. 5A, Henry Barnard partial roof replacement, phase 1. Mr.
There's no
Cycli.
update in phase 1 or phase 2.
So that's A and B are still on the table. 5C, Henry Barnard phase 3.
So the last correspondence from the state was that they had requested an updated enrollment projection. The last enrollment projection we had, or that was completed, was back in 2017 by Peter Prouda. So we updated that enrollment projection to go all the way out to 2029, which is the duration the state was looking for. And then I submitted that on Monday. We got that on Friday. I submitted it Monday. So now I'm just waiting to hear back from them.
Okay. So, but we're ready to go with the for bids and all that. We're just going to use state contract bids.
We're just going to use state contract bids, right? We're still trying to get our grant approval letter. Once we get that, then we'll have the project number, and then we can put that on all the forms, put it on the documents, and then go to the state for our approval.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. So, any other questions for anybody? Sensing none, we'll move on to 5D, roof management plan.
No new news from what we were talking about before. I sent out a presentation to the committee, make sure everybody had it for the 13.5 as asked, and we're ready to go. And I'm just waiting for direction from town management, the town manager, and we'll go from there.
Anybody have any questions?
What's the timeline for that? The town manager.
I'm hoping to know something very shortly, and when I have that information, I'll definitely give it to the whole group. And
yeah. Thank you.
What's for an answer from the town manager? Shouldn't we put a date on it so that keeps us on schedule?
I want to say it's like early September, the 3rd, something like that. It's about the right time, and I can double check the times.
Okay, so we got a little bit of time right now.
But I know
May
staff
10
is,
for what though? I'm confused. Because don't we have to have a public hearing and then don't we have to have council vote on it all before then? Or am I wrong? Am I confused?
So if I may, it's Deb McCarthy, and I know I'm not part of the group, but I can
Please.
tell you for a fact that council would have to hold a special meeting to set a public hearing date in July, to hold a public hearing in August. Then you would have to hold the public hearing and adopt the question by September 3rd in order for the question to be on the ballot. Sorry about that, but I know the dates.
that's fine. Thank you for the
That's good.
information.
Thanks, Deb.
And I know talking to staff between Alcorn and also Town Hall, and everybody's working hard on reopening, like the senior center and the libraries and all that. So everybody's got their hands in something right now. So
I don't even know if it's doable.
yeah, that's the
Well, because with schools, I mean, we're gonna need all
Yeah,
hands on
well,
deck to try to get
well,
those
that's
open.
what I'm saying. We got all hands on deck right now to try to get the schools open for September. So, but we're still, we still got time. Well, maybe we could come back to it after Donna logs in. So,
I think we better come back to it. If it has to be done sometime, they have to have a special meeting of the council in July, and it's already the 9th. If we don't make that deadline, then the rest of it, you might as well just put it to bed. It's not gonna happen.
What kinds of preparation do we need for council meeting? And how far along are we? I mean, it seems like Jeff has a lot of the detail, but how burdensome is it for us to prepare?
Well, listen, so I can tell you that we don't have another meeting already scheduled in July. Our second meeting in July is canceled, as is our second meeting in August. So there has to be an actual leadership. So Donna and Mike and Cindy have to sit down and hash this out at leadership. And I don't know when they're going to bring that up, since we're not going to have another leadership meeting. So Charlotte, you and Donna are going to have to work on your end. I'll talk to Cindy, but there's going to have to be some sort of leadership meeting that has to be brought up. And then we're going to have to schedule an actual meeting, because we don't have a scheduled meeting in July.
Right.
So it'll be a legitimate special meeting that we're going to have to schedule in order to set a date for August. So it's really not that difficult, but leadership has to do what they need to do to get it set up. That's above my pay grade.
Mine too.
Let me ask you, is the roads project moving along where all their meetings are in line for, being ready for the vote?
I haven't heard anything out of DPW. I'm not sure. And
So they haven't had.
Who are you asking?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Who are you asking?
I guess I don't know who I'm asking directly, but I'm just putting it out to the committee. Maybe this is a council person question. Has the road projects been gone through council so that they can get on the ballot, or that hasn't even been done?
No, and this is what I'm
Nothing.
going to tell you.
No.
I think scheduling the special meeting isn't going to be hard. Donna's got the hard work, and Charlotte has the hard work, to be perfectly honest, to get the people on their side who are going to go for this, to vote for it, to even schedule a special meeting, to even discuss it. So it's got to be brought up in leadership.
Yeah, well, because
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm late. Why are we discussing roads?
We weren't.
Oh, well,
we're talking about
the whole
roofs,
package.
but it's the same. The roof referendum's on the same schedule, I would assume, in order to have the public hearing scheduled and.
Right, we have discussed that in leadership, and we are going to do that in August.
well, said that the special meeting needs to be set in July in order to get a public hearing date in August, unless I misheard her.
I think you heard it right.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
All right, well, I'll have to verify that, Gina, because it's my understanding that we will have the public hearing. And normally we have the public hearing and we vote on it. I
You mean the same night?
Yep. Number of
Right,
the
but we're gonna have,
referendum.
we can't do that. We have to set, but listen, Donna, we have to set a public hearing date, and that public hearing date has to be in August, which means it has to be in our first meeting
Okay,
in August.
so
'cause
have
only
we got
one.
that far in the agenda?
Yeah, we're already
Yeah.
at D.
Okay,
Well, we're in roofs, which, the roof referendum, which. to be
Okay,
honest,
great.
is
I
not
just-
so discussed.
did we approve the drawings for I'm sorry, I really apologize. It took us longer to get back than anticipated. So did we approve drawings for the phase 3?
No, Chris said there was no update on phase 3. Or no, there was no update on phase 1 and 2. We didn't vote on anything or approve anything. Again, unless I missed it.
No, we
No.
did, no,
We
because,
didn't.
Chris, you want to fill her in? Chris,
Hey, sorry about that. Can you repeat that?
What's?
could you fill
yeah,
her in on phase 3?
Did I what?
Can you fill in Donna on phase 3, please?
Oh, yeah, sorry. So, the state had reached back out to me and asked, for an updated enrollment projection. The last enrollment projection that the town had was from 2017. So, in talking with the superintendent, we had Peter Prouda update it last week and issued a new enrollment projection that goes out to 2029, which satisfies the minimum 8-year requirement for the school construction grants department.
Okay, all right.
So that was submitted. I submitted that back to them on Monday. I haven't heard
Okay.
anything since. I did call earlier and left a message for Tom Rowe, but he hasn't called me back. So I was hoping to have
Okay.
more of an update on that prior to the meeting, but I don't have one. So as soon as I
Okay.
hear anything, I'll let you know. And then from there, we'll get the grant approval letter,
Okay.
and then we'll have our number, our official number, and then we'll be able to put that on all the documents and then go from there.
Okay, thanks, Chris. All right,
You're welcome.
so my understanding is the roofing referendum, we can go forward as long as we vote. We have a public hearing and a vote by the first week in September. It's going to have to be a special meeting. Because our first meeting in September is too late to get it done. So that's what we discussed in leadership.
But, okay, I'm sorry, Donna, but you gotta back up. When were you gonna have the special meeting to set the public hearing date?
In August. No, we're going to,
No, we have to have a special meeting in July in order to have the public hearing on our
no,
meeting
we're going to
date
set
in
it,
August.
set the public hearing date in the August meeting. The first meeting in August would set the public hearing date.
And then when are you gonna have the public hearing?
In August, the last week of August.
All right, I
And
would
that-
suggest
the-
that we set a public hearing date in July and have the public hearing in the first week, in our first meeting in August, but that's me. I think pushing it to the end of August, you're gonna get, it's gonna be a
So-
show with school starting.
You're right.
That's my opinion. I
Yeah,
think
that makes
people are
sense.
gonna be. Yeah, I mean, you can do what you want. I personally suggest that what Deb suggested is the timeline is right. And I think that we need to just do a special meeting. It's gonna take 5 minutes. We get a
Okay.
special meeting, we set the hearing date, we have the public hearing in our August meeting. And then you have time to do whatever we need to do. for September.
Okay, I'm willing to do that. Have you spoken with Cindy?
No, I will right now.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
got
okay,
Cindy, you
Walter,
get Mike.
I'm all caught up. Thank you.
Not a problem. Management plan.
No, I'm all set. If there's any, I think we've discussed about it, with what we wanted to target and how we wanted to approach it. I don't think there's anything really all that new to the table to talk about how we want to move forward with how the committee would like to go.
Okay, so we'll move on to item E. Request for joint, we're just gonna keep that tabled?
Yeah.
All right, item E will stay on the table. Item F, energy performance contract, new information.
Yes, there is some new information. We had the year 2 cost avoidance report given to me end of just by the hair of their nose on the 30th of June. So the report is quite long. I have some quick takes from the report I'd like to share with the committee, but we have saved 143% of targeted plan, which is just slightly down from last year, and I have some reasons for that. And water consumption was 100% the plan. So there was a total cost avoidance with the March to March year 19 to 20 of $821,326 from Honeywell's figures. So it was a good year. The changes were increased power consumption, and there are some very easy reasons for that. That would be the addition of air conditioning at the Stowe School, the gymnasium. That was not part of the initial energy audit. There's been some changes in programming that increase our hours of occupancy to the actual plan that we can't take back, like with, well, minus the situation now, but we've had increased programming at the senior center and other things that kind of go outside the scope of their guarantee. But all in all, we're fairly on par. I'm going to be looking at this document in greater detail and do a comparison from year 1 to year 2 on top of the last quarterly and kind of see what it all means.
Okay. That's great news. Any questions on that?
Yeah, I have a question. Last meeting, Donna suggested, and I was agreeing that we should be considering stepping back from the contract for monitoring and verification and move that in-house. And we had asked Jeff to just come up with some thinking, whether it's this meeting or next meeting. You know, when you have had a chance to delve into that report and you can see like what kind of benefits the external verification has had, and just, you know, give us some rationales for
Absolutely. I took some time last week to go over that and kind of put together a report. I'm leaning in favor of pulling this in-house because I haven't seen anything that they can do that we can't do with our own staff. And
yeah, I agree. I just think, you know, and I'm not asking you for a formal report at all. I'm just asking you for some kind of bullet points on the reason for that.
Yeah, so the big bullet points I think that we need to address, the elephant in the room, is this Honeywell energy program will not resemble the town in the next 2 years. And that's with the JFK situation. We're gonna have a brand new school. Enfield High was not part of the original IGA because it was under construction. That's very close to a high performing energy building, I believe, and I'm looking to see the proper documentation to get that all up to snuff. We're going to have some substantial changes with power consumption, with programming, with Stowe School. We've added a lot of air conditioning, which was not initially part of the situation. So it's going to throw off our guarantee number. So it's going to make Honeywell win. I haven't seen a position where we're going to reap the benefits of the guarantee. We've had increased hours in programming. So our programming that Honeywell designed at like Senior Center, La Manja, and other locations have changed substantially. Same thing with the school systems. They're highly programmed during the nights with things. We don't shut off the heat for the basketball games. We don't shut off the heat for the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. So it's going to be hard to maintain those parameters they set for us. Granted, that's our goal, but when we're occupying a facility, we're automatically turning it on, and there's a cost associated with that. So we're never going to really reap those benefits. But part of the things, I think this ties in farther back, and I believe the Clean Energy Committee pioneered this back in 2014, and that was the comprehensive energy strategy. I did take time and read that in depth, and I'd like to keep those principles in how we select our equipment with high performing equipment, going for the better, more performing. Because the problem is our town is very dynamic with what we do, and it changes so often. To be locked into a 15-year, this is how we're going to work. It just does not fit what we do. We're really fulfill that box that we've been given. And I think the Honeywell is kind of puts us in a box, and it doesn't really give us any real benefit on the guarantee. And I think with the 2-year savings and looking at it a little bit more in depth, we'll see that. We're going to see that change with water consumption, with heating, with the pools. Once the pool, like the Fermi pool, or excuse me, the Annex pool goes back online, stuff like this that kind of goes outside the scope, that drives the gas numbers. But the thing is, we're doing a lot of programming and a lot of community outreach with these programs. So, I think we can do it inside. I have plans. There's free things to do with like the US EPA, with the Department of Energy and stuff like that, where there's facility and energy tracking. And if the committee would like to use things like that, and I'm looking at our new EAM system with how we can tie back energy consumption to building performance. So there's things that we already do inside that we can use, and I think we could probably use the money in other capacity.
That's great.
I don't know. I agree with that. Gina, this is something you brought up on year 1 when we looked at the performance contract. And now as we start year 3, we're really comfortable, I believe, with eliminating the verification.
Yep.
Yeah. And it sounds like internally our staff is more up to speed with whether it's portfolio manager or some kind of software that, previous DPW staff, it was kind of daunting for. And so that changes it a lot in my mind.
So Jeff, do you need a formal recommendation from us, or are you going to just bring that forward as staff? And I know I've spoken to Chris, and I think it's something that he's in favor of as well.
I'm comfortable with the formal recommendation from the committee, because I know there's a lot of hard work on this Honeywell project. So, I would prefer to have your input on it as the committee, because again, that was a very large contract that you put a lot of effort into. So I'd feel better with you agreeing, with what we're talking about today, instead of just me kind of acting alone.
Well, why don't, before we get locked into this next year, so Walter, I'm stepping on your toes, but
No, please.
I'd like, if someone could make a motion to add to the agenda.
Why don't you make the motion?
Okay, all right. I'd like to make a motion that we add to the agenda to eliminate the third-party review of the performance contract, because we're comfortable with our energy savings and we are a very fluid community with a lot of changes that are happening.
Motion by Ms. Suzak.
Second.
Second by Ms. Costa. Any discussion? Show of hands, all in favor? And I'm going to assume everybody's got their hand up. Yes, they do.
Yep.
Thank
All
you.
right, so that's added to the
Technically,
agenda.
you
So
moved to
now
put
do
it
you
on the
wanna vote
agenda,
to
but also
approve?
you made a motion, but that will shake itself out in the notes.
I wasn't.
Oh, yeah, that's the
looking-
motion to put it on the agenda. Now we need to vote on it. Correct, Melissa?
All right, so someone make a motion to vote on what was just added.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Neville,
So
second
seconded.
by Ms. Costa. Any discussion? Charlotte, did you have a question?
Yes.
Nope.
I do.
Also,
So can we go back and have a review if things level off or we need one? Can we leave that option open? Or no?
I think it's a
Like-
change in contract with Honeywell. So I believe what we're,
the baseline has changed
But,
so much that you're not going to
Jeff
be able
has-
to do a comparison anyway from what Jeff is saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
and
I
really
don't
what
mean to
he's
step-
going to do is, I think the motion is that we need is not just to review the Honeywell contract, but to direct staff to create a comparable energy tracking system that will keep us on top of energy performance instead of the Honeywell.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
I just
and
want to
it-
ensure that we keep track of it so that.
Yo,
from year
absolutely.
to
Any
year-
comfort to you, Charlotte, most of the savings comes from the street lights.
Mhm.
Very, very correct.
And
So
those are just, you know, depending on what kind of electricity consumption you have, what kind of lighting you have, that's you pay for that many units of energy. So basically, when a majority of your savings is coming from there anyway,
Okay.
it's not something that,
Yes, and I can answer a couple of those questions. Our energy lighting on the utility poles is based on our wattage used per fixture. So Eversource knows we have, and I have a complete inventory, 3,700, give or take, street lights. The rate, one's rated at this wattage equal this much per year, and it's a flat fee that we set up every single year. It doesn't reflect the actual hours, it's just a flat rate. The buildings are a little bit more dynamic because the power consumption is based on occupancy and what's going on. And again, with the changes in programming and being a fluid community, it's very hard to stick to 7 to 4. That's just not who we are as Enfield, but they need to set up something to do. What we have done internally, internal policies, is hold the 74 degrees for air conditioning, 68 degrees for heating as a firm place with extenuating circumstances. And they have to be approved by myself or the facilities manager or, Director Nunes. So these are steps. We've removed occupancy changes. We've removed temperature changes on other people that were able to look at the BMS system. So it's only really 3 people that can make these changes. So it's another level of approval that we have to go through. I review it with our electrician Butch and with Mark Gar. We track our changes and why and reasonings. The other thing too is, like Adult Day Center is no longer really operating as it was when it was studied in 2014. So these buildings are coming online, they're coming offline. We have more than what the study really involves, which is about 21 facilities. It just doesn't make sense. And with the tracking of the energy, I track the monthly bills on everything. And I have a spreadsheet that's outside of this that goes back to like the early 2000s. And I can tell you what our power consumption is on our price and our kilowatts. And that
Okay.
goes with demand charging. So, I mean, we track a lot of this stuff internally. That's why I think it's a redundant thing. But if we
Okay.
were to cancel with Honeywell, we could always use like a Progene or another type of energy auditor to just make sure we're up to snuff if we felt like we're getting behind on something.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Any other discussion? So show of hands, all in favor?
Aye.
I see everybody, yeah. Who's the other phone call, 203 number?
That's Doug, isn't it?
No, Doug's got his.
No, that's me. That's Chris.
Oh,
I'm
Chris, okay.
I'm 860.
Wendy, are you in favor or opposed?
Okay,
Please
so
unmute.
everyone's in favor?
Oh,
We're all
okay.
in favor.
Wait, is the motion just the same as what Donna said for putting it on the agenda, or do we want to
Yes.
add the?
No,
Do we
this is
put it
to-
on the
this is to
agenda? Now
approve
we're voted on it.
All right,
Now we're approving it.
Yeah, and we're all in favor of it.
Right.
That's what I'm hearing. Okay, great.
So we are doing away with the third party monitoring
Review.
review.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else on energy performance? Sensing none, we'll go to G, clean energy. Who wants to speak?
the Clean Energy Subcommittee has powwowed, and we were, last meeting discussed that Assistant Town Manager Kasha is scheduling a Green Bank presentation with council, and we had expressed the desire to provide more of a balanced sort of context, co-presentation, whatever, that gives them a sense of their options and, establishes a good channel on energy from this committee. So Donna was going to check with Kasha about the timing of her work with Green Bank.
I have not had a chance, Melissa, I apologize.
Okay, but you will. And we don't think do we have any sense of whether it's like in the next meeting or two?
I was thinking September.
Yeah, okay, great. So we've started a kind of briefing presentation, and we can bring in, the cases of towns around our area and the options that they're exercising and so forth. And as far as our eligibility for a power purchase agreement, thank you, Jeff, for verifying that we do get our electricity on a contract from a supplier that Connecticut Conference of Municipalities brokers, and the contract ends at the end of the calendar year, I think. So there would be an option to switch our supply to a solar source, on a regular cycle. So I think we'll keep working, keep in communication, and keep this on.
Okay.
That's fine.
Anything else on clean energy? Moving along to letter H, transfer station update.
All right. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead,
Jeff.
Jeff. Give them the
So-
update.
So we got good news. We are Anchor for $43,000 has they won. Obviously, they're ready to go. They're holding last year's prices, and we're going to be issuing a PO very shortly. And once Anchor has the PO, they're going to be running. They have some milestones to meet. So we're hoping by July 10th we'll have some contract authorization. They're going to get moving right along, and they're going to be starting the work in August. So looking like contractor's invitation to bid is tentatively scheduled for February 21. So they're going to be going through all that inland wetland commission, and I mean they have a lot of planning and zoning and deep stuff, but it's for what they're going to do. It's a very, very tight schedule that they're anticipating to move. And so it's exciting. This has some legs, and we're going to be getting going on this very shortly.
Great news.
Fantastic.
Any other questions? Yes, Mr. Neville.
Just as a comment, there was a good article in the paper about it the other night. I think to educate the public about what's going on. I thought that was handled well. The other thing is, the question is, the reason for getting this all done in that February timeframe is to have it ready if the council is ready to put it in the budget, so that it's kind of a ready to go project that hit the ground running and just get done. Correct?
Yeah.
Good.
Definitely.
We're also looking for where we find savings in the budget that may be related to DPW stuff, that we can kind of earmark that money and keep moving it into a fund so that we have the money when our design is ready to go.
Sounds great. Good job.
And so I'm gonna be Joey Bosco's voice for a second. So are you still planning on bringing it to DPW? Because he really wants it to go there so we can talk about it.
I'll be honest with you, it can go to DPW, but they have to meet on a regular basis and they have to promise that this moves forward.
So let me ask you this. And I heard Joey when he said this, but what is the purpose of the DPW subcommittee talking about it? What are
They
they
act
going to
as
be
a
able to
building
bring to the
committee.
table?
They act as a building committee. Or
No,
in
I
lieu of
know,
a
but right. So this right now is under joint facilities. What is the benefit of DPW committee getting involved? And I'm not saying that there's not. I just want to make sure people understand if we're going to get them involved, why we're doing it.
Well, I know that he had some ideas that he wanted to have vetted out, and there's other people on DPW that have construction experience. So I guess
The only
he
other
wanted to
people on
talk-
DPW are me and Cindy.
Well, I mean, I don't know who's on DPW. I don't know who else.
Right,
the
and two of
committee
you guys
consists
are
of.
on here. So, I mean, besides just Joey wanting to have his input, which he can do through his fellow council members or being a guest at a meeting, I don't want it to hold up a process that we have worked very hard to push through
Right.
because Joey wants to have an opinion, which is totally fine. But if we have a committee that has worked long and hard on it, we need to have a benefit of bringing another committee in. And if there's not a benefit, there's no need to bring them in.
Well, who on the
And
town is on
Councilman Bosco has come to our meetings to talk about this as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
he has.
So who on the town for staff is on DPW? Is it like this committee, how we have multiple
I
people
have
and
no
citizens,
idea.
or Donna, who else is on there? Like, are there
Basi-
people?
Basically, when we have DPW, we have Jeff, Donald, we have everybody else, we have Mark Gar, anybody who's in the DPW, all the supervisors and the administrators are there. We have not had a DPW meeting in 6 months. So
Can we
that's
invite
why I
them to come?
say it can go to DPW, but they have to promise to meet on a regular basis to shepherd this thing forward.
Okay, so give me some clarify for me, Donna. What does that mean? They're going to discuss
It's the
it.
same thing as when we got a JFK, we were the pre-ref committee. Once that went through pre-ref, then it became a project for the building committee. I envision that if DPW wants to take this over, they need to act as a building committee for this project.
I don't.
And that means meeting on a regular basis.
Right. I mean, I'm not on DPW. I don't. I mean, I guess my opinion is at this point, I don't see the reason why DPW needs to take it over. If they want to come in and they want to be a guest and they want to work with us, sure. I don't see a reason to take it out of its original place and put it in a different committee that doesn't meet as regularly, and two, you're gonna. I just don't see the benefit. Maybe I'm just
Sounds
the
like Donna
only one.
and Gina are in substantial agreement because Donna's saying, well, they would have to meet. And they are meeting. So could there be some communication to Joey just saying, here are some easy alternatives to get your input?
Or can we just have him as a guest? Anybody on DPW have him as a guest?
Question,
Yeah, Mr. Neville has a question. Go ahead, Mr. Neville.
what was the point, and I agree with Gina, what's the point of putting together the Joint Facilities Committee to deal with these things if we're going to turn it over to another committee? I just don't understand it. You know, that was the purpose of putting all the facilities together in here to get the job done. And I would welcome Joey to come into this meeting. He can come in anytime he wants and be a guest at the meeting. Bring anybody else he wants in there. But I think
But the
if
same
we
thing's
set up
gonna
this
happen,
committee, we should stick
Tim,
with the.
if we take the Jablonski to referendum, when the referendum passes for Jablonski, it's gonna go to a building committee. It's just, that's kind of how this is. I mean, joint facilities is only the building committee for roofs because that's an ongoing thing that has to happen for state grants. I think that this committee works really hard, and I think it's good to get other people and other committees motivated to understand. And for me, I believe every committee should meet on a regular basis. I don't understand and I'm guilty of it with leisure. I haven't had a leisure committee meeting, and it's kind of annoying to me because I feel like the way I keep on track or try to keep on track is the consistency of meetings. And that's just me, because we tend to, to wander. We're not doing it every day. It's not, our work every day that we go to. So these meetings kind of keep us focused. And I think we've kept focused because we meet all the time. And I have the same fears that, this goes to another committee, but that's why I'm asking that this committee has to act as a building committee, and it has to meet on a regular basis.
I don't disagree with you, Donna. My fear is that this is just gonna make it go away, get lost in it, and then, you know, one more time it goes down the can gets kicked down the road. If you want to give it to them, I disagree with that, by the way. If we want to have a building committee, that's fine, but it should be beyond, the building committee should go beyond just the DPW committee or the public work, whatever that is. But I think we're going to lose this thing. We've worked hard for it. Let's keep it within here, and a building committee can be formed after that. But if Joey has questions, or anybody else on that committee has questions, have them come to this committee. We're the ones who did all the work, and get it resolved out of that, and make a decision then whether it should go to them as a building.
Yeah, I mean, Donna, can we just invite them and have a discussion about it, and then they can vet their thoughts or
On the-
whatever, and then
Would you like on the 25th that Joey would come as a special guest?
I love that.
I'm saying
Yeah.
anybody on DPW who wants to
Yeah.
come.
Sounds like a
But
good
Cindy, Mangini, and I are the other two members of the DPW.
Right.
So
But
we're
didn't you
already
say-
here.
Didn't you say there were other supervisors though?
Right,
maybe-
like Mark
Well,
Gar
I don't-
could
Right.
come, Donald.
Well, you have Jeff, and I don't know who else would be involved. Would Highway or Buildings and Grounds be involved, Jeff?
That would kind of fall more towards Ken Boulette. He's the assistant director for Highway and RRM. But, you know, they come to Donald and myself anyway, so, you know,
Yeah.
we can always
But
disseminate.
that would be
info.
something that Donald appropriate to come.
Donna, you said the 25th. Did you mean the 23rd?
23rd. Okay, it's 14th, today's the 9th. Yes, you're right. The 23rd. Thank you.
I thought we were doing another Saturday bus trip.
Well, that'd be good. We probably could use another Saturday bus trip.
Maybe not in the middle of July.
Yes, so the next meeting on the 23rd, we can invite whoever and we'll discuss it, you know, where does it go from here? Because we'll be honest with the DPW subcommittee that we're not comfortable with the fact that it won't get lost.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's
Well,
fair.
we're not putting another subcommittee down, but to your point, they don't meet regularly. So if they're only going to meet once a quarter, that doesn't move
Right.
this specific project forward
Right.
when we're
They
meeting
meet
twice a month.
on an as-needed basis, where we meet because we do.
But
Because we-
ultimately DPW runs the transfer station, right? So they should have some sort of just discussion. So, I mean, I think it's a good idea to bring them as a guest. I'm not saying give over the responsibility to them, because I think we're doing a darn fine job here, but just have their input so they get heard.
Yeah, facilities has been one of those committees that just kind of grown and taken over a lot of things, and we need to be more all-inclusive.
Donna, question.
Mhm.
Yeah, does the DPW subcommittee right now, do they oversee other buildings, construction and stuff going on?
They do not. Right now we're working on the trash ordinance. And, I was kind of hoping that we would look at roads, but it hasn't happened. So I'm, you know, there's only so many things I can push for before I
Yeah,
feel-
no, that wasn't my question. Is I'm just curious if they oversee other building projects and other construction projects going on in town, and if not,
They
why
u-
are they
you know what-
singling out
You know what, Don?
this one?
They used to, when we were on building committees in the old days, they were highly involved, and they still are highly involved in the JFK, and they were highly involved in the high school. But it's more when it gets to the building committee standpoint that they're involved. And that's really kind of what we're saying now, is it goes from us to DPW, but it never went to the subcommittee, it went to the staff.
Okay, it just seems strange they're singling out this one project when we know some history on it, but whatever.
Well, I think we need to get everybody together and discuss it and see how we move forward.
So consensus is that on the
Okay.
7/23 meeting, we try to get some of these folks as guests.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Sounds good.
we'll make,
Yep.
try to make that happen. Anything else? Okay, moving on to I, master plan, discussion, September update to council. Do we have anything? Any current news on where he's at with that, or?
Not too much more from what we shared with our last meeting. I think I took the notes and the comments down. I'm scheduling a meeting soon with John Ireland. But I think the big thing for me is I saw on the schedule was the presentation to council. So I'm hoping to get a date with that too. So it gives him time to prepare because that's about 6 weeks from now.
Any questions?
No.
Sensing none. Letter J, Joint Facility Committee Communications.
I continue to post our agenda and our meetings when we have them, when we're a few days out from each, as well as forwarding documents from the town manager that are applicable for our group, as well as I tagged, because schools falls under us, I also put that recent survey from Enfield Public Schools on the page as well.
Perfect. Any questions? All right, moving to new business. We have a approval of invoice for professional services, Peter Prada. Information on that, or?
I don't have it at my
Walter,
fingertips.
Oh, Chris, you're on.
Walter,
Okay,
I
Chris,
can-
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm still here. I can jump in. So this is the cost for Peter Prada to update the enrollment projection
Oh,
for
okay.
the Barnard roof.
Do we have an amount or anything, or?
I believe it was, you should have the invoice. I sent you and Donna the invoice.
Oh, you did?
I believe it's
Hold on.
1,500, yes.
Sorry
I
about that.
apologize. I saw it on the agenda, so I just assumed you had it.
Yeah, and I didn't look for it, so hold on.
I think I sent it Tuesday.
Tuesday, all right. Oh, here it is, okay.
You have it, Walter?
Yes, I do. Hold on, I'm getting it up right
Okay.
now. Come on, open. No, that's the enrollment. There it is. All right, so I need a motion to accept an invoice dated July 3rd, 2020. It's invoice number, not on it, for the amount of $1,500 to Peter Prada. Do I have a motion
Second.
to accept?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Collis, seconded by, who seconded it? Oh, Melissa.
Second.
Doug, oh,
Doug, okay. So we have
Yeah,
a motion.
whatever.
To accept. So it was for $1,500 to prepare an enrollment report. Any other discussion?
where is this getting funded out of, Walter? This is going to be part of the grant, the roof grant.
Okay,
So we had in the total for the roof grant, we had about $12,000 of contingency built into it. So this would come out of that $12,000. So now you're down to 10.5. Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Walter, can you repeat the invoice number on that invoice?
There isn't one. It's just
Okay.
invoice date July 3rd, 2020.
Okay, I got that. I thought there was an invoice number. You
will-
cut out a little bit.
I will forward you this email.
Perfect,
You can
thank
have it for the
you.
record.
Thank you.
Right after the meeting, I will. Any other discussion? So show of hands, all in favor?
Aye.
And I for Doug, and I see everybody's hands, so we're good. Thank you very much.
Thank
So
you.
we're at committee, oh, thank you, Chris. So we're at committee comments. Any committee comments? All right, hey, we're done in less than an hour. Oh, Charlotte, go ahead. No,
I didn't have anything.
I thought you had your hand up, I'm sorry.
Nope.
Walter, I just wanted to say,
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say to the date again, our document says 7/25, but it should say 7/23.
I corrected it, I
Okay.
was just gonna bring that up. So our next
Thank
meeting
you.
date is 7/23/2020. Same time, same spot, same station. So, anything else, or we're gonna have motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn.
So
Second.
moved.
Moved by Ms. Suzak, seconded by Ms. Costa. Any discussion? See, I can get this done in less than an hour, guys.
Good job.
Job,
All in
Walter.
favor?
Aye.
Thank
Good
you
night.
all. Have a nice weekend.
Have a good one, folks.
Good
Take care.
night.
Good night.
Bye.